bonjour, and welcome to another episode of Metis Time Capsule. Of course, you're here with Alexandria Anthony. Jumping right into today's episode, I want to pose a question to you guys. Did you know that Marie Rose Delorme Smith, born 1861 and of course passed away in 1960, has been designated as a National Historic Person? And let's get right into it, folks. Marie Rose Delorme Smith has been, of course, designated a National Historic Person. And let's learn more about this Métis homesteader, rancher, community builder, an author, of course, from Southern Alberta. And she is also known as a medicine woman, a Metis herbalist. And she really exemplified the leadership of Metis women. And she, of course, is the daughter of Urbain Delorme and Marie Desmarais. And Marie Rose was born in 1861 in St. Francis Xavier, Manitoba, which we know, of course, is the Red River. Her father died when she was very young, leaving her, of course, money to enroll with her sister in the Grey Nuns boarding school in St. Boniface, Manitoba. And it is here that from the ages from about 12 to 16 years old, she learned to speak and write in French and English, while she was always remained fluent. And this is important. She remained fluent in Cree and very likely, of course, in Michif. And Marie Rose spoke with great sadness of her time in the convent, and she was because she was removed from the annual routine of traversing the Western Plains with her family to, of course, trade, hunt buffalo. And her mother eventually remarried, and after 4 years at the convent, Marie Rose rejoined her mother and her stepfather as they continued their yearly routine of leaving the Red River to, of course, cross the plains, hunting and trading with First Nation people. It was on one of these trips across, can you just imagine one of these trips across the vast plains, that in 1877 that Marie Rose's family encountered um, the robe and whiskey trader, Charlie Smith. And recognizing that Charlie appeared to be a trader of some material wealth, her mother negotiated an arrangement in which she would receive $50, and Charlie Smith, um, 17 years older than Marie Rose, would receive a wife. So in some stories I have heard mention that she has been referred to as the $50 bride. And Marie Rose and Charlie Smith, they built a house and a barn on the Jug Handle Ranch in Southern Alberta, where they lived until Charlie's death in 1914. And well, Charlie was often away from home for long periods, as a lot of men were back in the day, that they would be gone for long periods of time. Marie Rose devoted her life to raising, and wait for it, folks, and raising 17 children. And of course, on top of that, tending to the cattle and horses and managing a small home run business in which she produced traditional clothing and items for newcomers. So, what an incredible woman that you have, raising 17 kids, tending to cattle and horses, and on top of that, managing a small home run business while her husband was away from long periods of time. And after Charlie's death, Marie Rose established a boarding house in the town of Pincher Creek and took a second homestead and served as a midwife and a medicine woman, and took the time, of course, during all that to write her memoirs. And while she was not successful in having those memoirs published in their entirety, she did publish a series of articles in the Prairie periodical Canadian Cattleman. And she also owned, of course, her own property at the time when few Euro Canadian women and even fewer Indigenous women were able to do so. So, really, she's a rare example of a Metis chronicle of the roles of Metis women during the fur trade, buffalo hunting, and homesteading periods, and of the cultural changes that was going on at the prairies at that particular time. So, what an extraordinary woman to have all that under her belt, raising 17 children. And, in her later years, Marie Rose spent time with family in Lethbridge in Edmonton in Alberta, of course. She was predeceased by 12 of her children, and Marie Rose passed away in 1960 at the age of 99 years old. And here's a quote I'd like to read to you. And I quote, Marie Rose Delorme Smith exemplifies the strength and resilience of Métis women and the major contributions they have made and continue to make in all sectors of society. Stories like hers demonstrate the unique lives and experiences that make up history in Canada. By commemorating the national historic significance of individuals like Marie Rose, we help to share these stories with Canadians and hope to foster better understanding of Indigenous peoples' perspectives, cultures, and traditions. End of quote. And that was by the Honorable Stephen Gilbert, Minister of Environment and Climate Change and Minister responsible for Parks Canada. So I hope you enjoyed today's segment. Again, we talked about an extraordinary Métis woman raising 17 children, looking after cattle, looking after horses, and having her own home business, and being a midwife, a medicine woman. So, really, Marie Rose Delorme Smith, what a remarkable Métis woman. And I really hope that you enjoyed the story